The sun fell like molten copper over the Arizona plains when rancher Elias Crowther spotted the silhouette on the ridge, slender, unwavering, outlined by the dying light like an omen carved in fire. Elias had lived 14 years in the hush of these lands, raising cattle, fixing the broken bones of the frontier, and burying the memories that refused to stay buried. Yet something in that unmoving figure, clad in a doe-skin dress, hair braided with crow feathers, pulled at him like the desert wind, tugging at an old prayer. She came down the ridge slow, measured, like she had weighed every step against the earth. At 20 paces she stopped, lifting her chin with the quiet defiance of a warrior. "I am Nelina," she said. Her voice was dusk itself, soft, dry, ancient. She spoke Apache, then English, then a mixture that sounded like poetry cut from stone. Elias felt the weight of her stare, the kind that saw every wound a man tried to hide. She told him she had fled from a raid, that she belonged to a dying band, that she carried the bloodlines of ancestors whose songs were fading in the world of rifles and railroad smoke. And then she said the words that froze Elias to the marrow. "Let your lineage sprout in me, Elias Crowther. The earth told me you would come." Elias had heard strange things. Before, whispers of spirits, caught between canyon walls, cries of coyotes that sounded too human, but never. Had he heard a woman speak destiny? With such calm certainty. He told himself she was desperate, lost, maybe delirious. Yet the land itself felt different with her presence, as if the desert leaned in to listen. He let her stay the night in his barn, thinking the morning would reveal truth or madness. But dawn brought a storm, a rare desert deluge, and with it came riders, 4 men with dust-soaked hats, rifles strapped like vipers across their saddles. They asked if he'd seen a squaw running loose. The venom in their tone made Elias taste the old fire he'd buried long ago, the fire that had once made him a feared man in Texas before grief tamed him. When they rode off, Elias found Nelina standing behind him, silent as a shadow, watching the horizon with the patience of mountains. She told him those men wanted her not for refuge but for ritual, to sell her bloodline as a trophy to collectors of the vanishing. Tribes. Elias clenched his fists. The West was changing, but not fast enough to bury its cruelty. When lightning cracked open the sky, Nelina touched the wooden beams of his ranch house and murmured a chant. Elias didn't understand the words, but the feeling sank into him like warm earth after rain. A promise, a plea, a tether. It wasn't romance, not yet. It was destiny pressing its hand against the door. As the storm raged, she told him her dream, a dream of a seed buried beneath the red earth, a seed that needed the lineage of 2 worlds to survive. She said she saw him in that dream, standing beside her, the desert blooming around their feet. Elias wasn't a man easily swayed, but the truth was he had been lonely for longer than he cared to admit, and in Nelina's presence, the ranch felt less like a tomb and more like the beginning of something the West itself had been waiting for. The night deepened, the wind softened, and Elias realized he had a choice that would alter the course of both their worlds. As they sat near the fire, Nelina's eyes reflected the flames like molten amber. "If you let me stay," she whispered, "I will give my breath to your land, and your land will give breath to me." Elias stared into the fire, hearing the storm slowly fade into silence. And at that moment, every viewer listening to this tale should know, stories like these, fierce and raw, deserve a home. So if you're drawn into this world, the morning after the storm, the plains glistened with a rare sheen, turning the desert into a mirror for the sun. Elias woke to the smell of cedar smoke and found Nelina already tending the fire with motion so fluid they felt like a ritual, older than the canyon walls. She murmured greetings to the dawn, speaking words meant not for Elias but for the ancestors she believed, walked beside her. For a moment he simply watched her, struck by the strange harmony she brought to a land that had long thrived on violence. But peace never lingers long in the Wild West. By noon, the riders returned, this time with more men, more guns, and more certainty. Their leader, Marshal Royce Hartman, claimed he carried legal right to reclaim the escaped tribal property. Elias felt something ancient rise in him, a fury sharpened by years of injustice. He told Hartman no such property existed on his land. The marshal smirked, eyeing Elias's aging ranch with the cold confidence of a man accustomed to taking what he wanted. Tension thickened like gunpowder dust. The men reached for their rifles. But before blood spilled, Nalina stepped forward. She spoke with a steady, ringing voice, recounting the crimes Hartman's men committed. Abducting Apache women, selling sacred items, burning burial grounds. Her words were fearless, her spirit unbreakable, and for the first time Elias understood why she had come to him. Not for protection alone, but because she saw in him a man who carried his own broken lineage. Man capable of choosing a different future, Elias planted himself between her and the rifles. His hand hovered near his holster and time thinned into a blade. What happened next would become legend. Elias fired first. 3 shots, quick and deliberate. The desert echoed with gunfire as Nalina dragged Elias behind a fallen log, moving with the agility of mountain cats. She tossed him a second revolver, his dead brother's weapon he hadn't touched in years. Together they fought, the ranch erupting into dust clouds and gun smoke. Every bullet was a heartbeat, every heartbeat a vow. The marshal's men fell one by one, their cruelty silenced by the unity of 2 souls bound not by blood yet by destiny. When the last rifle dropped, the plains were quiet again, except for the soft whimper of horses fleeing into the distance. Elias, panting, bruised, and bloodied, looked at Nalina, truly looked. She was brave. She was sacred. She was a bridge between worlds. She laid her hand on his chest and whispered, "Now our line may sprout. Your courage has opened the earth." Elias didn't respond with poetry. He wasn't that kind of man. But in that moment he felt something inside him take root. Not romance alone. Not obligation. Something wilder. Something ancient. Word of the gunfight spread quickly, making Elias a marked man and Nalina a symbol of defiance. Together they prepared for the trials ahead, fighting for a future where 2 lineages could blend into something new, something the West had never seen before. And as their saga continued, one truth burned brighter than the desert sun. Stories like this deserve to be heard. So if you're still riding with us, still feeling the dust under your boots and the fire of destiny in your veins, then subscribe, because more tales from the untamed West are on the way, and you won't want to miss a single one.